morning. Good rising, everyone. Grateful to be here with all of you in this new kind of change of settings in our music room here in Drumming Sounds World Headquarters in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. So wanted to step into this space this morning with this feeling that came yesterday during a conversation that we were having in our household. We have this great opportunity because there's me, Monica, and our awesome roommate, Dwight. And yesterday there was some sharing that was going on around our relationship to our children and my relationship to my beautiful, beloved daughter, Bailey. And this understanding and perspective came into my life. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Monica. Love you. And that I wanted to share this morning, and how that perspective has really challenged me in relational spirituality. How there's been somewhat of a barrier in my life that has been created by my own inability to really receive the blessing of looking at myself in the way that creation looks at me, in the way that the universe looks at me, in the way that the expanse of the great consciousness, the mystery, the I am, the holiness, and this viewpoint and this perspective of Father Sky and Mother Earth, and really the limitless potential of the inner child. You know, these three containers of self-identity, they allow for a perspective within the Trinity to really be magnified. And as I mature in my life, and not to say that I am a matured person, but that I am in the process of maturing into a spiritual person, I'm very grateful that I'm able to see parts of my life that are basically blind at times, you know, and how can I evolve? How can I utilize that density of energy in my life to transform? And I know that this is a message that some of you may be experiencing in your life in the barriers of your relationships. You know, as we really begin to create a culture that serves the optimal state of human design, it's important for us to realize the teachings that are innately visible, that are innately a part of relational spirituality. And this is something that I feel has been brought to me by the elders in the Sweat Lodge and participating in ceremony, this idea of all my relations. How do we step back into the innate learning of earth-based consciousness, of indigenous consciousness? How do we, as individuals who have been raised up in the captivity of this contemporary culture, begin to understand ourselves in a relational way? These are the questions that float around in my mind. And as an author of the Sacred Seven, A Journey to Self-Identity, I've been able to unravel some of those major questions and some of those really dense energies inside of my own transformational process. And that's what I bring to you here is a lot of times I bring my open heart, my vulnerability, my intimacy to these conversations that we have every morning, these prayers, these meditations. And yesterday, as we were in a conversation in our home about our relationship to our children, this huge concept of really distancing myself and what it means to distance myself from the relationships that are the meaningful relationships. I created inside of my mind a barrier of self-identity. And this barrier of self-identity was based around the programming of this contemporary culture. And the programming of this contemporary culture is very evident in the way that the contemporary culture responds to people that are living in poverty, people that are living in addiction, people that are living inside of the container of the lack of education, the lack of financial resources. These are the barriers that have created the ideas and the concepts within the contemporary culture of the limiting viewpoint. Now, I'm not saying that just people living in poverty have limiting perspectives, beliefs, and visions. Of course, there are people that are living in mansions that still limit the way that they view themselves. They haven't really understood their own understanding of self-identity enough to loosen and unravel the perspectives of the density of captivity. One of those perspectives of the density of captivity, which creates a gravity around itself, is when we have a limiting belief system about who we are to the relationships that are most important to us. When we have those statements inside of our head, well, I'm going to distance myself from my loved ones. I'm going to distance myself from my family because I don't want to hurt them. You know, these are the ideas and concepts in my mind that kept me away from my relationships with the people that I am called to love the most. And what I realized through that relationship, my relationship with my daughter, my relationship with a partner that actually wasn't going to look at me and look at me in a way of me needing to be someone, right? If you've ever been in a relationship like that, that's always a challenge. When you're with someone that won't accept you for who you are, but wants you to be greater than what you are, right? Is constantly holding that idea and that architecture in front of you. And there's a healthy way of doing that, and there's an unhealthy way of doing that, unhealthy way of doing that. And that unhealthy way is what I participated in, because that's what I knew as a child. You know, I was brought into a home and raised by my grandparents and my aunts and uncles. So there were times when people would look at me with disgust and would say, "Don't you have any common sense?" You know, and this brought this idea inside of myself that I'm supposed to have an innate knowing in life, right? That I'm supposed to be incarnated with a certain level of knowledge about how to change a tire, about how to, right, do the daily activities of life. And these responses that are so ingrained into our vernacular, that are so ingrained into our language, they really create concepts of disconnect from the ultimate truth, from the ultimate power source inside of our relationship to the universal consciousness and the great infinite I am. These places of limitation perpetuated the idea of separation from myself in the way of me limiting relationships. Relationships would come into my life that I knew were going to be great relationships, but I would dissolve and sabotage those relationships, self-sabotage them. Why? Because inside of myself, I was trying to protect the people who were around me. I was literally operating in the distortion of the masculine. The distortion of the masculine, when the distorted masculine says to the inner child, you need to stay away from your daughter, you need to stay away from your son, you need to stay away from your children, because your dysfunction is going to affect them. Where does this come into our lives? This comes into our lives through the generational curses that have been imparted to us by having ideas inside of ourselves of the imperfection of our parents. We see imperfection, we see addiction, we see trauma, we see abuse in our parents, and we feel like we're unable to actually be a healthy person. This is the conditioning of a contemporary culture that isolates individuals, that puts people in institutions, that says that you're a dysfunctional disease. And what we do is we analyze behavior in a way of self-identity. Behavior is not your identity. Where do you find comfort in your identity? Where do you find the peace of the knowing that the infinite intelligence is reflecting in you upon the world around you, that God, Goddess, the beauty of this universal consciousness is inside of you, and that reflection is upon the world, the relationships? How do you step into this knowing? Practice, relative, practice. It takes practice in conditioning your mind outside of the limitations of this world in order to free yourself from the captivity. Some of us have generational captivity, and we've associated behaviors with the people who have been called to love. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to associate the behavior of my mother and the divine feminine on my mom, to look at her and see the disgust and the addiction and the trauma and the pain and the brokenness and the mental illness and all of these things that make up the ideas of a distortion. You know, I'm so privileged to be able to sit in Sweat Lodge with people like my Uncle Ted and to listen to him say to these men that come in, and the first thing that comes out of their minds is, "Hi, my name is Sam and I'm an addict." And for him to gently restore and reconcile the relationship back to that individual, saying, in here, in this holy space, in this Sweat Lodge, with these stone people, with these mountain deities, with the air, the water, the fire, the earth, with the elementals being in here, you are a child. You are a grandchild. You are a holy person. You do not have to identify yourself as an addict. You don't have to limit your behavior to being a doctor, to being a lawyer, to being a person that behaves in a certain way because of the monetary influences of this world. If it wasn't for the monetary influence, would you still be doing what you do for work right now? For many of us, that idea and that concept is only motivated by the monetary system. And I want to let you know that that's okay. But be real about yourself. Be true to the fact of this is what I do for money. You know, when you identify yourself by the behavior that is instituted in you by the captivity of a culture that has created jobs rather than earthlings, there's a lot of unraveling to do. There's a lot of understanding. How do we create a culture that is synonymous with looking at our children and seeing the love of God in their eyes? How do we fortify the space of knowing that they are God, goddess, that they are the representation of the holiness of the universe? These are the concepts that allow for us to free ourselves from these ideas of common sense, right? The idea of common sense that children are lacking. You know, when you tell your child, what are you going to be when you grow up? This initiates the seed inside of them that they're not enough already. How do we fortify the space of allowing for an individual to know that they are enough? To gently ease them into the practicalities of everyday living, to let them know that, yeah, it's not common sense to know that you need to change your air filter on your house, but you do need to change your air filter on your house. It's not common sense to check your tires before you go on a trip, to check your oil before you go on a trip. But it is important to have that life skill. This is how we begin to loosen ourselves from the concepts and the criticism inside that distance us from the holiness and the truth of how the universe views you. I want you to know that you are not alone in viewing yourself as the infinite representation of love, that I am viewing you in that way, that my faith as a spiritual person here on this planet is loosening even now as I speak into the very cells of your body, as I speak into the marrow of your bones, and I speak life to you. How can I do this? How can I justify that I am speaking life and freedom from captivity? Because I have known captivity. I have known it in the form of iron bars. I have known it in institutionalization. I have known it in the depression and what the contemporary culture calls mental illness and addiction and all of these ideas of isolation. How can I speak freedom in the time of a quarantine? Because freedom is an innate gift that the universe has given you. Proclaim your freedom. Proclaim your ability to travel into the state of the knowingness, the emotional stability of recognizing your fortitude as a child, as a grandchild. Know that that is enough. When you start to have the monkey mind around relational distancing is the illusion that perpetuates isolation. Relational distancing is the very catalyst of why we relate ourselves, why we distance ourselves from God. If we were to say that we're so sick and we're so corrupt that the creator of the universe would be flawed by us, we are saying this in our relationship to our children, to the people that we love, to the homeless person on the street, to the person that we come in contact with. It is the truth of the reflection of the creator inside of you, the greatest gift that you have been given by the universe. This is the reflection that people see if you allow them to. Years of my life, I laid in the prison of anguish, of depression, of isolation, because I was worried that I would hurt my daughter because of my behaviors. My own mind was so sick in these concepts of me being less than, so worthless, nothing any good, an addict, a drug dealer, a criminal, a felon, all of these perpetuations of the ideas of isolation. They created a gravity in my life and the reflection upon the people's faces. That's all I could see. Relational distancing is the confusion of the illusion when it's perpetuated by the ideas of lack within the individual. You are completely whole and beautiful, just the way you are. You don't need to be a job for me to see beauty in you. Why? Because I see beauty in myself. Unraveling these illusions in our lives creates and fortifies the culture of restoration, producing to restore people, families, community, and the planet. We have to get this inside of us. It has to be the air that we breathe in order to do the energetic work that we are called to free ourselves from the isolation of the gift of empathy. Many of us are living in a place of isolation, fortifying the walls of our own prison because we understand energy in a deep way. We have a relationship to energy in a deep way. And yet inside of us, the conviction of the emptiness has created a gravity. Fill the cup. Love and gratitude is the medicine. Love yourself, right? The confusion of that. What does that mean to love yourself? Well, simply to love yourself in my mind, and I have pondered this for many years of my life as a child, growing up with two parents that suffered from addiction, that were in prison, that were in institutions, mental institutions, all of the institutionalization of our great country of captivity. In these places inside of myself that I had to come to relationship with in a process that serves me, I had to free myself from that. I had to find the pathway into the person that I am today. The person that is able to be a keynote speaker, that is able to go out in community and make a difference in the lives of people, to come into institutions where the density of human suffering is so thick you can smell it. It smells like death. When I came to the place of understanding how to love myself, I define it in a simplistic way that the inner child inside of me can relate to. When that little boy, Andy, rises up and is hurting, and his pain and his tears and his suffering is available to me. How do I tell that little child inside of myself to love myself as a grown man? I believe it's saying this, and you can say this with me. I was doing my best. You were doing your best in the divorce. You were doing your best in your addiction. You were doing your best when you thought about ending your life. You were doing your best when you walked out on your family. You were doing your best when you left all of the people in your life for that substance, for that abuse, when you were self-harming, when you were cutting yourself, when you were putting needles in your arm, when you were involved in a sexual orientation that was not your truth. You were doing your best. And why can I say that to you? Because you're still alive, right? And you've lived to come to relationship with Creator. You've lived to be in a place of relational spirituality, to unravel the confusion of the illusion, to unravel the ideas that you're genetically flawed. Where did this come into the equation? Is this earth-based knowledge that we're genetically flawed? Is this the knowledge of the air, the water, the fire, the earth? Does the water not feed those that come from the distortion of captivity? Of course the water feeds all of the individuals that have gone through the transformational process of being deep within the confusion of the illusion. There is no genetic flaw in you. You are genetically perfect. And it's bullshit that someone would tell you those lies. They told me those lies. When I was a little boy and I was in school and the dare cops came in with their guns and their flags and, their obedience to this idea of dare to keep a kid off drugs, just say no, Nancy Reagan. They looked at this group of fifth graders and told us that if we have one drug addict parent, we're 50% more likely to become a drug addict. What does that say to a little boy who has two parents that are addicted to drugs? This is the confusion of the illusion of genetic superiority. Why are they saying this? They're saying this and preaching these things to our children. It's ingrained in us. It's even the air that we breathe. It's bullshit is what it is. It's lies of the hypocrisy of this culture that has nothing has nothing to do with creating earthlings, to creating value-based people that innately have value. Why is it that this institution would create people that can look at the mountain and not see the beauty of the mountain, but see if I take the top of that mountain off and I mine everything out of that mountain, I'm going to have value in that mountain. This is what we have done to condition ourselves away from the value of the mountain as holy. The mountain is holy. The waterway is holy. You don't have to put a dam on the river to see value in the river. And this is the thing. You don't have to dam your mind. You don't have to captivate your mind to a system that creates nothing but jobs in order to find value in yourself. You are valuable. You are holy. Relational distancing. If this is the confusion of the illusion in your life, if you are distancing yourself from the relationships that mean the most to you, it is time to burn that on the fireplace of our ancestral connection to the earth. It is time to take that distorted thinking and the density of that suffering and put it on the altar. Give it to the Creator. Loosen yourself from that power. The density of that gravity in your life has created a trauma, and it has brought the perpetuation of those identities into you. It is time to loosen yourself from that. You have come to take captivity captive, to be the very voice of medicine upon this earth. We are rising up as a nation of prophetesses, a nation of prophets, a nation of medicine people, a nation of shaman, a nation of realized individuals without borders. This is the culture we're creating together. We are rising up as perfect sevens. The inner child, the masculine, the feminine, who we are to new people, the East, who we are to our family, who we are to our community, who we are to the elementals. Relational spirituality is the foundation for the revelation. Where there is vision, provision follows. Realize that the prophecies of the ancestors that have been danced around the fire, that have been sung in the songs, that have been played upon the drum, that have been thought in the visionary space of the plant medicines themselves, are to bring us to this revelation of relational spirituality. All my relations in one individual. You are the epitome of the universe. The consciousness of Christ inside of you, a living being. Allow not for this institution to dismiss the creative power inside of you. Sing your songs. Know your culture. Know your identity as an earthling. You are an earthling. It is your inherent right to play the drum. It is your inherent right to sing a song. It is your inherent right to draw your pictures, to create your beadwork, to do your jewelry, to find your art. Express yourself. The fool says, I have no rhythm. It is your heart that beats with Mother Earth that gives life to all. You have rhythm in your body. You have a dance inside of you. Somebody told you you have no rhythm. Somebody told you that you can't dance. I am here to proclaim that you are a dancer. You are a drummer. You are a singer. You are beautiful and holy in the sight of the universe. And I want to feel into the gravity of the displacement of the energies that no longer serve you. This power, this revelation is like the water that flows into the cup and removes the coffee and fills the cup with life-giving water when you want a cold drink of water. This is what happens when you love yourself and you're grateful for yourself. When we are in a place of analyzing the effects of relational distancing, when we look into ourselves and we ask ourselves, why am I saying to myself that I am not worthy of being in relationship with this person. Think about how many times you've told yourself that in your business, in your inspiration, in your ability to relate to others. You told yourself, oh, they won't care about my idea. They won't care about my business idea. They won't want to invest in me. You're relationally distancing yourself. And we need your technology. We need you to be able to be in the authority of knowing that, hey, I have a creative idea. I have an opportunity here. Relational distancing. How does it affect you from going to your boss and asking them for a raise? Oh, I'm not worthy of a raise. I'm not worthy of that promotion. I'm not worthy of being in that office. I'm not worthy of having that desk that has a view outside. I need to stay in my cubicle. I can't pop my head up. Who am I to ask for a raise? Relational distancing. Oh, that person over there, that guy, he's so spiritual. He's so beautiful. He makes music. Look at him. He would be so good for me. I could give him such a great life. I could be the person that he's falling in love with. Why are you not opening yourself to that? Oh, I'm just not pretty enough. Oh, I'm just not this. Oh, I'm just not that. Relational distancing is the fortification of all of the confusion of the illusion that keeps you from living your optimal life. Ask yourself, where did this come in? Most of the time, it's the distortion of the masculine. Sometimes it could be the feminine. Sometimes the child within you is so void of having a voice. So many people have compromised that child. So many people have abused that child. So many people have told that child is no good. But I'm here to tell you that the goodness of the universe is alive and active in you. You are the holiness. You are the creator. You are the author of the poetry of life. We are in this together, relative. We are in this together. Well, I wanted to share a little bit about relational distancing today because it affects us in so many hidden ways. It keeps us from starting our YouTube channel. It keeps us from starting our Facebook Live. It keeps us from showing our hearts. And you know what? It's time to end that. It's time to put that on the altar. It's time to burn that in the fireplace. A great way for you to start doing that is by getting a free copy of my book, The Sacred Seven, and doing the work around each one of the containers of self-identity. You can get a free copy of the book at the website that's here online. We have some offers for you today for being a part of this ministry. If you'd like to get an audio book, any donation right now will send you an unedited copy of the audio book. I need some help to come up with the money to get it professionally edited. So all of the donations that come in right now from the audiobook go to paying for the professional edits. I need your help to support this ministry in my vulnerability and my intimacy. If you'd like to get a signed copy, a hard copy of the book that I can mail to you, that's available for you. Donation of $20 or more gets you a signed copy with a personal message written to you directly. Send it in the PayPal. Say, hey, I want a signed copy of the book. Here's a person that I would love to have a copy of the book if you've read the book already. These are some things that you can do to support us in our ministry, and any size donation helps. You know, we're in a time where the work that we do in the captivity, the drum circles, it's very challenging for us to go into hospitals right now. We have to use Zoom. We have to use the internet. And a lot of the places that we go to, the low-income HUD housing communities, the psychiatric lockdowns, the prisons, the schools, they just don't have the technical ability for us to do a drum circle for them. So a lot of that work that we had in the community, helping all of us, because the density of human suffering in those institutions is affecting us on a connected psychic way. That was really what we were doing, you know, for years. And now, you know, that's transformed. It's transformed in so many ways. So here we are with our daily ministry here. I felt very connected and a little bit excited about this concept of relational distancing because it's something that I had to really come into a relational understanding with. So thank you for being here. I'd like to pray now. So the prayer place is a place in which I begin to pray thanksgiving into our lives. And I'm going to light this prayer here. And actually, Monica, can you help me out real quick? I didn't bring any water. I just want to put some water on this altar. Thank you, babe. So blessed to have Monica in my life. Someday she's going to come on here, and if you all ever have an opportunity to hear from her, you're very blessed and fortunate because she shares a lot of.
You can go to our Sacred Seven book and hear from me every week.
Oh, that's right. If you want to be a part of our Sacred Seven class, she does the class with me every week, and we have a great space there. And we should be launching another one. I think I'm going to do an free introductory class to the Sacred Seven process here very soon. We're working out the technology, and that's been a challenge. I need to get a USB XLR interface, which is like $200. And man, as much as I want to say that the fruits of my ministry and my labor have been, bringing in thousands of dollars here on Facebook, which is we're blessed. Believe me, we haven't gone hungry and we haven't had to not pay a bill. But $200 is a big commitment for me right now, and I just need to think about it a little bit. I need to feel into the faith of knowing that $200 investment is going to help us in our ministry with the Sacred Seven. So real life there, first world problems, right? But I love you guys enough to share in vulnerability and intimacy those things that we're going through and our needs. Who knows? Maybe somebody on this live will want to send us an USB XLR interface. There's some that are out there. Maybe you have one in your home. I've always believed that the miracle is in the house, and that's. I even. Oh, thank you. I'm reading a little bit of the comments now. And so beautiful. Monica is actually sharing a lot on this one. Thank you, Monica. All right, so we're going to go into the prayer place now, and I'm going to light this coal. She brought the water for me. All right, so here's the coal. Give thanks. I'm going to put some cedar here for us. And it was taught to me by a man named Glenn Justy. He said the cedar was a man who was always doing for the people, providing for the elders, chopping wood for the children, all of those things. And when the cedar transitioned and went home to the Great Spirit, the first thing that the cedar said to the Creator was, who's going to look after the children now? Who's going to make sure that they're taken care of? And the Great Spirit thought, wow, what a beautiful creation. And the Great Spirit said, because you have shown yourself in this way of service, I will turn you into the everlasting tree of life. And when the people burn you, they'll know the aroma of service. They'll know the aroma of giving to the people. You'll always be a part of them. And that's how we burn the cedar in this way this morning, in that good way. Give thanks to Uncle Glenn, Akmel Atam, brother. Taught me so much in the Sweat Lodge. So grateful to him. Man, he's so much wisdom. I remember the first time that I invited Glenn to come to a drum circle. Drum circles are not a traditional Native American experience. And that's how I grew up. I was 18 years old when I went to my first drum circle, transformed my life. I grew up knowing I was Indian, but basically it was from behind a bottle of whiskey. My grandfather, Apache guy from Arkansas, he told me that I was Indian. And I came home from school one day asking what, I don't look like the kids in school. And this was in Portland, Oregon. I was pretty much one of the whitest cities in America. And so he told me I was Indian, but I didn't know what that meant. I thought it was like, what we see on the John Wayne movies, these savages and all of this. So when I came into my spirituality and really learning the ways of my my ancestors, so many people have been so influential, and Glenn definitely one of those people. Definitely one. He really helped me um, see so much. And I invited him to this drum circle, and he's just over there, standing there, and he's watching, and he's just observing everything. And I went to hand him a drum, and he's like, no, no. And I got kind of offended by that. I was like, well, why don't you want to play? And he's like, no. And then as we drummed, and then it was his opportunity to speak, because whenever you have an elder, and you're by a fire, and this is good teaching for all of you out there. So when you have an elder that's in your midst, and you feel like they're important enough to share, because just because a person's old doesn't mean that they have wisdom. Right? Oh, one of my Apache relatives, he used to say there's only one thing worse than a fool, and that's an old fool. But when you have an elder that's in your midst, and that person is wise like Glenn, you want to give them an opportunity to share and honor them in that way. And there's a respectful, really meaningful way to do that. And it usually comes with acknowledgement, like saying, I want to acknowledge this person and what they've done in my life. And then you share from your heart what they've done to help you. And in doing that, right, that's like one of the things that's so beautiful about ceremony and heartfelt ceremony, is the authenticity and the vulnerability that comes from not saying like, oh, I'm the guru here, I'm the teacher here. We're all in circle here. And in that space of connecting to Glenn and sharing with him, he decided that he would share after I was opening myself up in intimacy and vulnerability. And he shared about his grandmother's teachings, that when his grandmother said, whenever you come to a ceremony or any kind of spiritual practice, the first time that you go, just observe, just watch how the people are. Don't participate. Don't make yourself, known. Don't act out anyway. Don't scream, don't yell. Just be gentle. If they're screaming, if they're yelling, if they're doing something, going through something, it's okay, but you don't do that. And this is important for all of us, especially those of us that are trying to understand how to show up in ceremony. Like there's a yearning for that ceremony in your life. Like you want to sit by the fire. You want to burn your cedar. You want to burn your sage. You want to use your feathers. You want to sing your songs, play your drums, all of these things. These are kind of the people that I minister to, right? The people who are like me, that were out there in the world, that were in the captivity of the confusion of this culture, and now want to understand how to be an earthling. How do I learn from the indigenous technology of ceremony? How do I incorporate that into my life without taking from a culture? This is important, because many of us want to go out and practice indigenous culture, but yet we don't want to identify ourselves as indigenous. We want to go out and participate in a ceremony that's from another tribe, that's from another group of people, but yet we in ourselves would rather do that than actually asking ourselves, how do I relate to the air, the water, the fire, the earth? You see, this is an important transition inside of the mind of really being authentic in your own ceremony, in your own altar, in your own way of practicing. And who are we as any individuals to look at another person's practice and to say, oh, that's the wrong way to pray? These are people that need to be taught. When you think that there's only one way to pray and your way to pray is the right way, you are living in ignorance. That's the truth. The truth is that the Creator has designed all of us with worth, with value, and all of us need to sit by the fire together, come back and mend the hoop. These are the teachings. And Glenn, in his eloquency and in his thoughts, he spoke to that, and he shared, what he was taught, and that's why he didn't drum. And then the next time that we got together, he drummed, and this is how I think in our eyes, those of us that are so eager to participate in something, without being told the parameters or being shown or even understand what ceremony is, the inquisitive nature inside of us, it brings out that revelation because there's a missing relationship, right? There's a missing relationship in how we relate to the earth, and the fire, the water, the air, how we relate to gravity, time, spirit, how we relate to one another. That relational value of spirituality is missing in our lives. So, of course, there's a hunger for ceremony. How we create authentic ceremonial practices. This is important, not to utilize the specifics of ethnocentric forms of ceremony, but instead to learn from the technology, transform ourselves into authentic beings, authentic earthlings, and then understand how to accept and how to love the individual inside of a container of inclusivity. This is the practice. And man, it is a practice. The drum circle is a great way of practicing that. I think ecstatic dance is another great way of practicing that. These are forms of ceremonial traditions that span any kind of ethnocentric form, and they bring about the same sort of technology, the trance. Right? The drum circle can bring you into trance. The ecstatic dance experience can bring you into trance. The burning of cedar, the burning of ceremonial offerings at the altar, these can bring you into trance. It begins to open up the neural pathways. It is biological what happens to us when we're in ceremony. It's not that there's no disconnect between the mind, the spirit, and the body. It's all one. We are a living being, energetic being. It is simply density of energy that creates change. So be authentic in your life. Be real in your life. Learn from the people who are around you, but don't try to mimic them. Learn from the elders. Learn from the people who are here. Honor the land. Honor the people of the land. But you don't need to be anybody but yourself. You need to understand how to be confident in that place as well. Because there will be people that will try to look at you and not see the beauty. I've been accused of being a fake shaman and all of these different things, and attacked online, been beat down, told that I'm fake and phony and all of these things. And I just, all I do is what the elders have taught me, and that's, you're doing good. Keep doing good. If you just keep doing good, you just keep showing people love, you just keep showing up in community and doing your best, they'll know you by that love. And when they reflect upon that pain inside of them that makes them want to attack you, look at them with compassion and say, that's a hurting individual that would take time out of their day to attack a person, a simple, peaceful person. And this happens all the time. But what happened to Jesus? What happened to Nelson Mandela? What happened to all of the greats? Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, like so many different people that have come into this world with love in their hearts, that have come into this world with John F. Kennedy, that have come into this world with peace in their hearts. And yeah, it's scary. It's scary to be a person of peace and love and gratitude and spirituality. But guess what? The fuel of that fear in that place of separation is for the fire. It's for the altar. It is for the catalyst for transformation. And we just have to keep doing what we're doing, relative. Just keep praying. Just keep blessing. And it's all good. All right, so I'm going to put this cedar down here, bless ourselves. I'm going to introduce myself in the traditional language as best as I know how. This is the decolonization of my mind. And for those of you that speak the traditional language, just know that I'm trying to do my best here to learn it, apply it, and then I'll introduce myself in the contemporary language. Dogate, Andrew Ecker, Yinishe, Adona, E, Nishiniki, E, Ide, Nishe, Irish Bashachin, Ide, Dashache, German Dashanali, Akote, Go, E, Tishli, E, Portland, Oregon, Inisha, Shema, E, Kathy Lindsay, Woye, Shaza, E, Del Ecker, Wole. My name is Andrew Ecker, my mother, Kathy Lindsay, my father, Del Ecker. My mother's mother, Elba Gallegos, Apache woman from New Mexico. My father's mother, Evelyn Beatty, an Irish woman from Pennsylvania. My mother's father, Leroy Lindsay, Apache man from Arkansas. My father's father, Wayne Ecker, German and Algonquin from Pennsylvania. I have a daughter, Bailey, a son, Peyton, a beautiful, beloved fiance, Monica. Grateful to be here in this prayer place with all of you. Bless you here with this cedar. Smudge myself here and go into the prayer. Father, Mother, Creator, Source, I thank you for this opportunity to be in this prayer place that was founded before the creation of the earth, before the creation of time, before the creation of any of this world of tangibility, Creator, of density. You have given us this place to be in the flow of energy. And I give thanks for this place that means so much to me in my life. I give thanks for allowing for me to be the person that you have called me to be. And in the simplicity of being a child, in the simplicity of being a grandchild, I just come to you now. And I give thanks. I give thanks for the land, for my home, for the indigenous people of this place that I live, the Akmel Atam, the Pipash, the Maricopa, the Apache people, the Ende people. I give thanks for this land that we inhabit here and for the fruits of our labor, for our garden, for the fruits and vegetables that you give to us, for the clean air, the clean water, the clean earth, the clean fire, our relationship to the feeling in the blanket of gravity, and for having enough time in the day to do what you have called us to do. I pray for creativity, imagination, innovation, that we may expand what it means to be living in peaceful coexistence with our planet. I thank you for the healing of our planet. I thank you for the healing of those that are in a place of needing to feel healthy, needing to feel restored back to the optimal state of human design. And I pray that you would help those that are suffering right now from the coronavirus, help those that are suffering in the hospitals, that are in the institutions, that are in the places of suffering. I pray that you would empower them, that you would empower also the medical workers, that you would equip them with the ability to continue to do their work, that you would provide for them the necessary technology to stay safe, that you would allow for all of us to examine our own fear in our lives, that you would open up the country in a timely manner that we could all be safe in knowing that we are living in safety. I thank you for the ability to feel safe in the spirit, for spiritual safety, for the ability to know that it is your shield that protects us from the arrow that flies by night, that you have guided us and gone forward and devoured the enemy, that you have destroyed those that would try to come in contact with us to bring destruction, and instead that our path is to prosper us exceedingly and abundantly above anything that we can ever hope or imagine. I thank you that you have loosened prosperity into our lives, that you have met us at our point of need, that you have given to us exceedingly and abundantly above anything that we can ever imagine, that you have allowed for love to be our guiding light, that love is like the beacon on the hillside, that love is the light tower, that love is the very road that we walk upon. I thank you that you have blessed those that have come into our lives as new relationships, that you have worked in Grandmother East, that she is there guiding us in our new relationships to the people who come into our lives, and that they know us before we come, that they have a heart and a willingness to give to us and to help us in our lives. And we thank you that we are able to help them as well, that you have brought together our lives in a way that meets us in a like-mindedness, that in this place of meeting in relational spirituality, that you have allowed for relationships to manifest that serve the optimal state of human design, that we are creating a circle of production for the means of restoration, that we are transforming the cultural identity to a value system that lives in peaceful coexistence with each other, with the air, the water, the fire, the earth, with all of our relations. I thank you for this circle of light and for all those that have come into this circle with peace and love in their hearts. I thank you for the ability to transform our relationships, to look into the density of captivity and to find freedom. I thank you for the institution of the military-industrial complex, and I pray peace upon the leadership. I pray peace in the generals and the admirals and all those that have come into a place of authority, into the intelligence officers. I pray that you would equip them with the understanding of knowing how to navigate peace. I thank you for the destruction of the idea of war. I thank you for the destruction of the idea of punitive justice. I thank you in this place that we have allowed for the dissolving of the idea of punishment as a way of bringing about transformation. I pray that we would allow for ourselves to reward those that are seeking the goodness of what it means to be an earthling, to reward the permaculturists, to reward the organic farmers. I thank you, Creator, for moving upon the institution of government and allowing for subsidies to be manifested in organic farming, in the tangibility of creating optimal protein sources, Creator God. I pray that you would allow for the corporations, for the industry, for the business to create a protein source that allows for us to stop destroying the wildlands. I thank you for the ability to leave the mono-agricultural system, for the idea and the concept of coming up with ways in which we can live in peaceful coexistence with the insect people. I pray, Creator God, that you would help us to understand how to create farms and to create gardens that allow for the insect people to live in harmony with us. I thank you, Creator God, that you have allowed for us to be in relationship and to provide food for all those that are hungry. I thank you for the technologies that equip our farmlands. I thank you for the ability for us to create innovative ideas that live in peaceful coexistence. I thank you that the food storage is enough. I thank you that you have allowed for us to clothe the naked, to visit the prisoner. I thank you for setting the captives free. I thank you for moving upon the institution of the judiciary system and allowing for there to be compassion in the judges. I thank you for the elimination of mandatory minimums. I thank you for the elimination of ideas and concepts of judgment that do not create equality. I thank you for the idea and the greed inside of the individuals and corporations and inside of the individuals in government to come to light. I thank you for the idea and the ability for us to understand how to utilize the density of greed to transform our world. I thank you that you are making us greedy for clean air, clean water, clean earth, and for us to live in relational spirituality. I thank you for the power of our understanding of how to relate to our own greediness inside of us individually. I thank you for the ability to transform our world by thought, by innovation, by creativity, by imagination. I thank you for the ability to manifest the goodness of love and gratitude in this world. Blessings in this place, and blessings to the fruitful nature from within, blessings to the revelation of what it means to be in the wholeness of love, to be in the wholeness of truth, to be in the wholeness of peace. Blessings in your life for the restoration of your relationships. Blessings in your heart for the restoration of your physical nature. Thank you for many years of life. Thank you for the ability to see your grandchildren, to even speak life to your grandchildren. Thank you for nurturing your body, for loosening yourself from the captivity to the sugars, to the sweets, to the toxins. Thank you for the loosening of captivity to addiction. Thank you for the ability to live a fruitful, abundant life. Blessings. Blessings in courage. Blessings in love. Blessings in freedom. Oh, thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you for blessing me. Thank you for your revelation. Thank you for this ability to be in this prayer place. Thank you for sheltering us, for giving us the ability to be here, sheltered under your wings. I thank you for Simon and ministering and warring angels, setting up an encampment around us. I thank you for the holiness of our ancestral fire. I thank you for the prayers and the prophecy of our ancestors. I thank you for the ability to feel into the earthling consciousness. I thank you for allowing for the earth to resonate in us. I thank you for bare feet playing on the dirt ground. I thank you for hugging a tree. I thank you for the winged ones in the air. I thank you for the stream and for the coolness of water. I thank you for swimming in the lakes and in the oceans. I thank you for the ability to be the turtle, to be the whale, to be the Holy Ghost inside of all of us. I thank you for that ability to transcend the physical, to be in the visionary quest. I thank you for the vision quest. I thank you for the plant medicines, for the ayahuasca, for the peyote, for all the medicines and the mushroom people. I thank you for the holy cactuses that give us these revelations. I thank you for tobacco. I thank you for the cedar, for the sage, for the copal. I thank you for the palo santo. I thank you for the heavenly aromas that we burn on our altar place. I thank you for the drum, for the flute, for the didgeridoo. I thank you for the ability to utilize these instruments in a way that brings transformation. I thank you for our feather fans. I thank you for the winged ones. I thank you for the four-legged. I thank you for the insect people. I thank you for our relationship to our loved ones. I thank you for the ability to make love. I thank you for the ability to have ceremonial lovemaking. I thank you for the understanding of intimacy of our spiritual sexuality. I thank you for that ability to be in that place of grounding into the love that you have given us. I thank you for beauty in our home place. I thank you for ceremonial space. I thank you for the idea of the opportunity of what it means to be good and whole parents. I thank you for our children, for our grandchildren. I thank you for the ability to be in love with the earth again. I thank you for the ability to be in love with new people. I thank you for the flight and the persecution of the refugee. I thank you for those that are at our borders that need help. I thank you for those that are in prison right now for seeking food, for seeking a way of life. I thank you for all of those people that are in those institutions right now, and I speak freedom to them. I speak encouragement to them. I speak life into their hearts. I thank you for the detaining of the children in this understanding of this government that has separated families. I thank you for the ability to pray and to bring life to those children right now. I thank you, Creator God, that you have allowed for the loosening of the traumatic stress for their lives to be transformed. I thank you for raising up a very powerful voice inside of that community. I thank you for the ability for that voice to be a voice of peace. I thank you, Creator God, that you have raised up leadership, that you have even anointed and chosen people. Oh, thank you. Oh, Anitum nit ashinik maanda. Donitak ese maka anat ishkini wa anka. Benitu kima anato sikini tashkini pa akwa. Baki nitu kur shkienaka na antata wakon. Bani to kanit anese nitu kurira maka anito wakani. Oh, Holy Spirit. Oh, Holy One. Oh, great, great one. Holy, 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 holiness. Thank you for the architecture, the holiness of this sacred circle of light. I thank you for inside of this circle, the visitation of the Holy Spirit. I thank you for the ability to be in relationship with the Holy Spirit. I thank you for the idea of praying in the Holy Spirit. I thank you for the ability of the transformational language that releases itself upon the earth. I thank you for the ability of understanding the interdimensional space. I thank you for the visionary quest. I thank you for the ability to be in the place of understanding the prophecy. I thank you for the blanket of ancestral life that is woven into all of us. I thank you for the very genetic makeup that we are. I thank you for the ability to be in this place of understanding the unraveling and the encoding of the genetics. I thank you for the light itself transforming our DNA. I thank you for the ability to be in psychic giftings. I thank you for the ability to be in the empathetic giftings. I thank you for the ability to be in compassion. I thank you for the ability to be in this place of understanding the intuition. I thank you for intuition and its guidance system. I thank you for the ability to understand how to be guided. I thank you for the wave of light and the transformation of our world. Oh, daughter, speak to you in that way that understands the blessing inside of you, daughter. Understand that place in your heart. Understand how you have been brought here, how you have chosen your path. Loosen yourself now from the captivity of the density of your suffering to understand your visibility in this culture. You have been called to be visible. You have been called to create. You have been called to share your voice, to write your ministry. Equip yourself now, knowing that it is the Holy Spirit that guides you, that your guides are here now, even waiting in the unseen parts, feeling their guidance. Feel their hands now upon you. Feel their hands on your heart now, ministering to you. Feel the wave of the anointing flowing from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Feel it as if it is a warm oil flowing from the very top of your head to the bottom of your feet, now equipping you for this ministry. You have been called into this ministry, sacred holy child. You have been called into this place. You have been equipped before the foundations of the earth to be in this revelation. It is your witness that you have been. You are the eyes of the universe, the great I am, the mystery is within you. Speak now your truth. Speak now your truth. Loosen your tongue. Speak your power. Speak your prayer. Speak your love. Speak your truth. Loosen. Let the density be removed from your throat. Let that fire be coughed out of you. Let that pain be coughed out of you. Let that loosening of the power from within you be evident to all. Choose your instruments. Choose your drum. Choose your flute. Choose your gong. Choose your bowls. Choose your sacred instruments of manipulation of energy. You have been called before the council of the holy representation of the star nations to be equipped now. To be equipped to know your doing, to know that you are the displacement of the energies that no longer serve. Be loosened, daughter, to your place of love. Be loosened to your place of authority. Be loosened to your place of activation. Realize that place from within you. Realize the ministry that is unfolding in front of you. Be blessed in that way. Sending the healing to the waters now, the waters of the streams, the waters of the rivers, the waters of the oceans, the waters of the lakes, the waters of the ponds, the waters that are beneath us, the waters that are above us, the waters that are inside of us, sending the healing of this prayer to the waters, sending the healing to the earth now, the earth that is above us, the microscopic particles of sand and dust that are moving in the jet stream now, sending that love to the above earth, the below earth, the inside earth, the elements, the very calcium, the very vitamins, the very parts of us that are making up the density of our human vessel, now sending that love to the earth all around us, the earth in the east, the south, the west, the north, all of the earth, the mountaintops, sending that love transmission to that, sending the fire, the energy above, the energy below, the energy inside, the energy in the east, the energy in the south, the energy in the west, the energy in the north, now sending that love transmission to the fires, sending the love transmission now to the air that is inside of us, the air that is below us, the air that is above us, the air that is in the east, the air that is in the south, the air that is in the west, the air that is in the north, sending this relational energy of transformation to the air, the water, the fire, the earth, the gravity, time, and spirit, the holiness of the sacred seven elementals being in relationship now, equipping the holy representation of healing and life. Blessings. Woo! Oh, give thanks. Beauty above, beauty below, beauty beside, beauty in front, beauty behind, beauty within. I am, we are made beautiful again. My name is Andrew Ecker. My mother, Kathy Lindsay. My father, Dale Ecker. My mother's mother, Elva Gallegos. My father's mother, Evelyn Beatty. My mother's father, Leroy Lindsay. My father's father, Wayne Ecker. It's been a gift to be here with you, relative, to be in this blessed prayer place with you. Woo! I feel equipped for the day. I hope you feel supercharged spiritually, emotionally. It is in the evidence of our lives. I give thanks for this day to be here with you in quarantine, to pray with you, to meditate with you, to sing with you, to play my flute. Play a little bit right now. All right. Love you guys so much. Thank you for allowing for me to be in this place of ministry. I hope you got something from this live. If you did, please share this message. Please join us every day. We do this. Check out the Sacred Seven Facebook page. We're getting ready to launch our next journey. Just working out some details with our first group. And I'm so grateful some of you are here on this. Sarah, Rona, so many of you here. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. Monica, thank you for sharing this out. She does such a great job every morning making sure the message gets out there. She's my backbone in my life. I really am grateful to have her in my relationship. Yeah, it's such a great reflection of love. Okay, everyone, give thanks. Thank you so much for being here with me. We do this every day around 8 something, 9 something, somewhere around there. And hope to see you tomorrow. Blessings.